Hello, good evening, and welcome to 30 Days of Doctrine. So good to have you here. Today, let's look at the very disturbing question. Does faith and science contradict? Have you heard the statement that faith or science is factual, and evidence-based? It deals with experiments, it deals with, thesis, theories. It tries to prove things. It tries to ascertain truth, while faith, on the other hand, proposes something and expects you to believe it simply because it says it, and then you just have to believe it in faith. The idea of faith has been synonymous to believing a thing without any evidence for it. Is that really what science is? Is that really what faith is? So let's look at that this evening. And why is this important? We are trying to understand the Bible, and so it's important we understand if the Bible makes scientific claims, and if those scientific claims are wrong, and science has proven them to be wrong, if that therefore then discredits the Bible. We're not saying for certain that there are such claims. I'm saying, are there such claims that science has proven that the Bible believes or upholds otherwise, therefore discrediting the scientific claims of the Bible? Does any such claim exist? This is why this study is important, because it contributes to the truism or falsehood of Scripture. So let's delve right into it. First off, what is science? I think that's a good place to start. Now, fundamentally speaking, at a very basic level, we understand that science is basically the study of nature. It studies the patterns, it studies the predictability, the constants. It basically is the study of nature, right? It uses different means to ascertain truth, but then it seeks to ascertain truth and understand reality within nature. Science fundamentally is the study of nature, right? Basically. Having said that, when I want to look at, is science the only way to ascertain truth? This is important because if science is seeking to ascertain objective truth, truth is not subjective. There's no such thing as your truth and my truth. All right. I think I've mentioned that in passing. There's no such thing. You don't go to a bank and say, according to my truth, I have $150 million in this account, and then you just have to give me $15,000 from that. Meanwhile, the bank is saying that you have $9,000, and they said, no, according to my truth, I have $150,000 or $100 million, and I'm withdrawing $15,000. It's just absurd, right? Nobody in real life circumstances applies those kinds of stuff. There's always the truth. It's either it is true or false. It's either you have no money in the bank, $150,000 in the bank, or the $9,000 the bank claims you have, or, there has to be something. All of you may be wrong, but all of you cannot be correct at the same time, in the same context, over the same thing. And then don't tell me if someone writes 9 on the ground, and this person standing here seeing 9, this person standing here seeing 6. You see, everybody's seeing it from his perspective and they are right. No, that's wrong. Everyone is not seeing it from their perspective and they are right. You ask the person that wrote the 9 on the floor, you ask the person that wrote that digit on the floor what he wrote, and then when he tells you what he wrote, you realize that one person is standing at the wrong position, and that's why he's seen it wrongly. Okay, why don't we deal with digits in the bank? You take a teller to the bank, you write what you want. Okay, if you turn the teller wrongly and you push it to the person, on the other side of the counter, the banker now, and the person is seeing that you want to withdraw, no, the person doesn't assume that because he's seeing it from the person takes the teller slip and turns it appropriately and reads what you wrote. Person is not going to debit you of $9,000 when you wrote $6,000 because, you've turned the paper the other way and it was seeing $9,000 from his own perspective. No, the person turns the paper to the appropriate position and ascertains truth. There's no such thing as subjective truth. There's no such thing as your truth. There's always the truth. Now, science seeks to understand truth. It seeks to ascertain truth. And it does that in its study by its means, by the different means by which he studies. But then, summarily, it's a study of nature. So science is seeking to understand truth and is seeking to ascertain what is true. Now, is science the only way to ascertain truth? That is, can we say something is true even though it cannot be scientifically proven? The answer is yes. And I'll give you an example. What is the scientific proof that you love your mom or your mom loves you? You see, everything you're going to say at this point is philosophical and not scientific. There is no lab. There's no lab. We're going to test. We're going to put out some things from it or whatever, by whatever means, and test to ascertain the truism of the state of your mother's heart towards you. But by philosophy, by logic, you are able to ascertain that these signs are evidences that point to the fact that she loves you. Therefore, you see it as truth, and it is indeed truth that she loves you. How do you prove that your wife loves you? You see, there's no scientific way to prove that your wife loves you, but there's a philosophical and logical evidence that can point to the truism of the fact that your wife or your mother loves you. Is love a reality? Yes. Can love be scientifically proven? No. You see that? Can hate be scientifically proven? No. So you don't just assume that science is the only way by which we ascertain truth. There's such a thing as philosophy. There's such a thing as logic. There's such a thing as philosophy, right? And philosophy is a branch of reality. What word is that? Is one way by which we ascertain truth. Now, that being said, I'd like to go ahead to define what is faith. What is faith? Faith is the conviction that is based upon accompanying evidences. Faith is conviction that is arrived at, that is born on account of accompanying or on account of the pointers that this thing is true. For example, I believe that, and I have faith in the fact that if I sit on this chair, I'm not going to fall. The chair on which I'm seated currently. Why? Because the evidence points to the fact that this chair can support my weight. Therefore, I put my weight on it. That is a secular example to help you see the Christian ideology of faith. And is that what the Bible really teaches of faith? Doesn't the Bible say it is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen? Well, that's the point. It is the evidence, just that unlike science that studies things within nature that are seen, faith seeks to comprehend. Now, the Christian faith seeks to extend beyond the things that are seen within nature to ascertain truth outside nature. However, it does not rule out the fact that it is evidence-based. Remember, the Bible literally says that it is the evidence of things not seen. Now, can someone say that because it is not seen, therefore it is not true? You know that if you go by that, we cannot see love. We can't see hate. It doesn't mean they are not true. They are real philosophical facts. But keep listening. If I am seeking to ascertain the truth as to whether I have a weight, as to whether I as a person, I have a weight, The instrument by which I know my weight is called, do you remember what it's called? Do you remember? Because I don't remember. Let me get that very shortly. But then, do you remember what the thermometer is and what the thermometer does, right? A thermometer, if I remember, is used to ascertain temperature, right? I can't believe I forgot this word. It's a scale. It was that simple. Sorry, I skipped my mind. But then, you know, you can stand on a weighing scale and then it tells you what you weigh, right? If I want to know my temperature and I stand on a thermometer, is it going to tell me my temperature? No. If I use a thermometer appropriately, at best, it will still not tell me my weight. It will only at best tell me my what? Temperature. Why? Because the thermometer itself is only designed to ascertain the truth of your temperature. While the weighing scale is used to ascertain, is designed to ascertain the truth of your weight. So, if I want to know my temperature and I stand on a weighing scale and I do not see my temperature, does it then mean I do not have temperature? Can I conclude logically that I don't have a temperature? Why? Because I have tried to use a weighing scale to attain my temperature and I can't find it. It's only showing me my weight. Therefore, all I have is a weight. You see how illogical that is? So if science by definition, now follow this logically, if science by definition is the study of what is within nature, now, can we use science to know if there's something that is outside nature? Talking about the supernatural now. Can you say that because science cannot prove or disprove the truism of the supernatural, the truism of something extra natural, that is, supernatural, right? If science cannot prove the existence of anything supernatural, does it then imply, does it follow logically that therefore there is nothing supernatural that exists? You see that? That's an illogical pattern of thinking, because you cannot ascertain truth from an instrument that was not designed to reveal that aspect of truth. So you cannot know temperature by a weighing scale, and you cannot know weight by a temperature. You cannot know what the supernatural, if there's any such thing as the supernatural, by science that only seeks, and its methods only are designed to only ascertain if there is such a thing as, if there's anything within nature. The study of science, the scope of science is limited to what is within nature. Therefore, science cannot tell us if there is anything supernatural. Do you get the point? So we should not be comparing faith and science in this sense of it, because those two things are trying to ascertain truth at different levels. Do you see that now? So science seeks to ascertain truth within nature. Faith is also evidence-based. But faith is trying to ascertain truth beyond nature. In this context, right? Now, one more thing. You will now want to ask, is there evidence for the things, the convictions of faith that we have? The response will be yes. Y-E-S in capital letter, red underlined. There is evidence, there are sufficient evidences that points to the truism of everything we hold in the faith. Talk about the existence of God. Are there evidences that point to the existence of God? Yes. There are even scientific evidences that can help us when we use those discoveries of science and we think them out logically, philosophically. It points us to the existence of a being that we now call God. And whilst in this class, I'm not trying to make a case for the existence of God, as that will be another class entirely. And there are 4 irrefutable premises upon which, and they are logical premises, upon which we can safely claim that, and certainly claim that there is a God, an absolute first cause, locus of all morality, and the greatest conceivable being. The definitions of God, that there is such a being that exists that matches this definition, and we can arrive that truth logically. You see, Jesus was not anti-evidence, and Jesus was not anti-logic and reason. When they met him, disciples of John, to question his deity and to say, are you the one who is to come, or should we wait for another? Jesus did not say, you just have to believe me, but I really can't prove that to you. No. Jesus goes ahead to demonstrate his deity by bringing to the scene supernatural competencies that accompany his deity. He goes ahead to heal the sick. Do you remember? He opens blind eyes. He does a few supernatural signs. And then he tells the disciples of John that they should go and tell John what they see. This is evidence-based. He's saying that don't believe me simply because I said so. That there are proofs. There are things that prove positive that what I claim is correct. So Jesus was evidence-based. The claim of Jesus' deity was evidence-based. And are the miracles the only thing upon which, the only premises upon which we base the deity of Jesus? No. You know that if we want to build a case for that, we will trace it apart from the hundreds of prophecies that are fulfilled in his life that were written hundreds of years before he was, and thousands of years before he was born, all accumulating in his life. Apart from that, the strongest and irrefutable point that proves the deity, that provides evidence for the deity of Jesus Christ, is the resurrection. And you want to ask, oh, was there a video camera that captured the resurrection? Well, that's unwise. You don't know anything. Okay, is it possible that I've done that teaching before, right? On this series, that if a lady comes on the scene and claims that this man raped me, nobody asks for a video camera. Okay, what do you expect? Someone pulls out the camera when she's about being raped. I'm like, okay, yes, you see that he's raping me, so I'm going to use this video against him. I mean, how do you think about a camera as a possible evidence for a rape case? It's just illogical, right? So are there other ways to ascertain truth? Yes. And I tried to create a picture when I was explaining this in that part of this series. So we can know if that truly happened without a video evidence. We can know if anything has happened in history, even before the invention of cameras, without a video evidence. Video evidences are not the only kinds of evidences that there are. They are valid logical evidences that point to the truism of certain factors. So we can ascertain truth. This was why I gave the historical reasons, the reasons for the reliability, historical reasons for the reliability of scripture, including archaeological evidence. And archaeology, if I remember correctly, is science. So the archaeological evidences points to, it contributes to the evidence, to the pointers of the fact that the Bible is correct. Talk about the names, talk about the places, and all of those stuff. The excavations, the tell-down excavation, and all of those discoveries that have been done that affirm what scripture says. So the Bible, faith, the Christian faith, and the claims of the Christian faith, they are evidence-based. Even though the evidence is not necessarily scientific, but they are logically sound and coherent evidences that point to truth. Do you get this? I'll just give one example, practical example, and then I'll just close this. One thing that the Christian faith believes or holds onto that we can logically, philosophically prove to be true, even though there are no scientific evidences for it. Fundamentally, the Christian faith is, of course, if you're talking about Christianity, before we even get to the deity of Jesus, we first have to agree that there's such a thing as a God. So the Christian faith believes and upholds the theory or the position that there is such a person as a God. Now, is there evidence for that? Yes. There are lots of evidences for it, but I'll give you one. There's such a thing as the argument for the existence of God based on morality. There are 4 premises, there are 4 arguments, but one of them is based on morality. If everyone born on earth, who is on earth, is simply a product of biology, pure biology, there's nothing outside of us. Why do we agree that anything is moral? How did we come to ascertain morality? Why is there such a thing as a conscience? Okay, let me even get a little more detailed. Let me ask a very blunt question. Why is it wrong if I have the ability to kill you? Why is it wrong for me to do so? Nobody says the lion has done anything wrong when he pounces on a zebra and he feeds on a zebra. Right? It's survival of the fittest. The most powerful wins. So why do we all agree that there's an inherent moral code across different cultures, across different civilizations, across all cultures, across all civilizations that consent to the fact that killing is wrong? When I try to take the life of a fellow human being, that is wrong. What informs our sense of rightness and wrongness? I mean, you see this in the animal kingdom. Nobody says the lion has done anything wrong. Nobody says the cheetah. Nobody says the tiger is doing anything wrong when he feasts on a leopard. Nobody says that. So why can't if I have sufficient power to overpower you and take your iPhone and run away with it, why should I not do that? Well, you say, okay, it hurts someone because I'm inflicting pain, I'm inflicting injury. Okay, why should I not inflict injury? Okay, let's even get a little deeper. If I am married to a wife and I am cheating on my wife, is it wrong? Is there a moral consciousness, an inherent moral consciousness that demands that I am faithful to my wife? Now, hold on. You may say, okay, it's hurting her. Do you know it's possible I put in all the measures in place? I take care of her well, take care of my family, I provide for my family, I give her all the love that she desires, and she does not even as much as suspect that I'm cheating. Right? And then I also take all the preventive measures to prevent an STD from showing up. So there's no implication in terms of hurt that will come to her. Am I still doing something wrong? So you see that if you agree that there is objective morality and there is such a thing as rightness and wrongness, which we all agree to as human beings, it then points us to the fact, that beyond biology, beyond the formation of matter, beyond time, space, and chance, there is a sense of oughtness. Like to say you ought not to. It's not about if you can, but you ought not to. There is a sense of oughtness that has been ingrained in our consciousness that is universal across cultures, that cannot be traced to any scientific reason, that cannot be traced to any gene or any DNA or any cell in your body. It is absolutely philosophical. It's absolutely inherent. It's absolutely moral. That it's not scientific based. It's moral based. It's philosophical. We are agreeing inherently that this is wrong. It points us to the fact that if there is a moral law. Now, here's the logic. If you say that this moral law are things we made up, right? And there's no moral law giver, that we made it up. Now, if I say the one I made up is that I can do everything else apart from killing. And you say the one that you agree is wrong is that you can kill, but you just make sure you don't kill everybody in that person's family. And that's what you believe. That does it make you right? If you say you can kill a person, but just make sure you don't kill everybody in his family, that's your moral code. Does it make you right? You see that this moral code exists outside you and outside me. There is a moral standard outside you and I that we are both accountable to, such that even if I say that killing for me is not wrong, it does not still make it right. The moral inherent consciousness, the moral law, still goes ahead to judge me if I do kill. This proves that there is a moral lawgiver outside of all humanity, because if humans are the source of this moral law, it then means that humans can change it. We can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, rape, every other thing is wrong, but rape, let's just leave that. Rape is not wrong. How do you prove that rape is wrong? No, logically. Okay, if you say it's hurting a person, why should I not hurt a person? You see that? You are going to always defer to the moral law engraven in our consciences. And that is proof that there is a moral lawgiver. And that is why one of the definitions of what we call God is the locus of all morality. That's the source of all morality, by definition, is what we call God. I don't have time to do this in details. I didn't even plan to do this part in details, but I just want to let you know that there are philosophical premises and there are evidences, logical evidences by which we can ascertain truth. By which we can ascertain truth outside science. Science seeks truth within nature. Science is the study of nature. But faith, in and of itself, is not trying to comprehend truth by studying nature. Faith is not scientific. Faith is philosophical. And philosophy is a legitimate way of ascertaining truth. There is no scientific evidence that you love your wife, yet you love your wife. That's philosophical. You cannot stand on a weighing scale and say, because this weighing scale is not telling me my temperature, I don't have a temperature. You need a thermometer as the instrument to ascertain your temperature. Therefore, you cannot claim that you don't have a temperature simply because the weighing scale is not showing you your temperature. You are using the wrong tool to ascertain truth in another area. This is exactly what we do when we try to compare between science and faith. Science ascertains truth as captured within nature, whereas faith is philosophical and faith is evidential. But that evidence is not necessarily scientific. It's logical and it's philosophical. That is the point I have been trying to drive at. And if you have any questions or contrary view, I'll be glad to respond to you. Drop it in the comment section and I'll be there to respond to you. Please, if you're watching this currently or you would watch this, drop a comment. It will help the YouTube algorithm to show more people, and I'll be glad to respond to your comments. Thank you for staying through. 9:30 p.m. tomorrow. See you.